Hi guys, it's Jacob from Stringbells here, stringbellsworld.org being the music journalism site, links are in the description down below. And I just have to apologise quickly for the lack of uploads over the last week or so. I've been a little bit ill, I've been quite busy as well, so I haven't really had the time to really review many tracks. But we have got a brand new song review for you today, and it's the latest track by Benjamin Clementine, and it's the Phantom of Aleppoville. So I'm going to refer to the original article as I usually do for these videos, so I hope you enjoy. Now when it comes to Benjamin Clementine, I can't say I've ever personally dived into his discography, but what I do know is that my girlfriend absolutely loves his music, so I think I should probably give a gander right now anyway. In fact, the only track I've actually listened to or heard his voice was the track which he did with Gorillaz. In fact, I can't remember what it was called. It was the politically based one, and I thought it was pants, to be honest, so I'm going to exclude that entirely when it comes to this track and this review in particular. So should we see what I thought of this brand new track? Well, I think this track is going to be an absolute pig to review, but I'm going to persevere nonetheless because I do think it is one of the weirdest, most abstract, artistic, experimental tracks I've probably heard thus far this year. Starting with the positives though, I think overall it is more artistic than, say, self-indulgent, and unlike artists such as Bon Iver, who recently have been releasing half-written tracks and just claiming that it's more of a spectacle and has been done sort of purposefully, I do think that this track on the other hand has a lot of merit and imagination behind it. I also think that Clementine puts in a fantastic vocal performance here, sounding both harrowing in parts as well as warm in the same breath as well sometimes, you know, especially when you're sort of getting towards the outro of this track. I also think the choice of the instrumentation here is very unique, and it works really well to create this almost steampunk-like atmosphere. However, it is often quite dissonant. There are long sequences that I found a little bit dull personally, and it just didn't quite sound as good as I really wanted it to, or perhaps didn't really equal the sum of its parts, I guess. And it is definitely the type of track that will diversify, or rather just divide in general casual listeners such as myself. Production wise, I do honestly think everything has been handled really well. The harpsichord in particular sounds great to me, and it has this sort of vintage treble and twang to it, really shining in that high ground. Once the piano is incorporated towards the second half of this track, and the second half of this track is the part I enjoy the most, that too sounds really great to me, keeping both its naturally percussive edge and impact and power to it, as well as being gentle and soft when it really needs to be. Nothing within this mix has been drained at all, which I always think is a very good thing. Even the sort of roomy drums that again come in towards the second half of this track, with this sort of thick and tonally unusual kick drum really driving that low ground whilst the snare cuts through in the mid ground, grabbing onto the foreground. I thought even that sounded fantastic as well. Even the vocals have been mixed pretty much perfectly, sounding purposefully sort of stripped back and subdued even in parts, whilst ever so daintily adding this reverb, which again adds to this overall atmosphere which I keep talking about. So it's a really great production cycle, and as a quick sort of after note, I also think the double bass in this track sounds gorgeous. When it comes to the musicality of this track, on my first listen there were some periods of which I was absolutely stunned, and others where I kind of lost my concentration almost entirely, but on repeat listens I started to find more and more intricacies in each section, but then I found myself sort of turning further away from other sections as well. So it's a weird one really, because it both has excellent replay value because you can find more and more on each listen, as well as having a terrible replay value because it makes some sections almost completely skippable, like the first half for me in particular anyway. Due to there being so many jerky experimental transitions as well, it is difficult to get comfortable with, and that isn't strictly a criticism, and again to many this would seem incredibly artistic judging by the comment section as well. A lot of people like how many changes there are in this track and its sort of free-form nature, but for me I just never found any sequence which really made me smile or I really had a lot of enjoyment with. Each melody is fine, and I like the sort of drum sequences that reared the head towards the end, and also the piano progressions around that time, but nothing stuck out as truly memorable for me. Like I said, Benjamin's vocal performance is great, and his dramatization of themes and certain lines is practically second to none, and I think what this track perhaps loses in comparison to another experimental track like maybe Right Now by Haim, which is my favorite track of this month, is that it doesn't have something to really center around. It's like free form sort of soul jazz, and even though that's incredibly admirable and definitely a ballsy musical move, it's not something that I could really say that I enjoyed. Lyrically, the track only gets weirder really, and I would honestly be lying to you if I said that I understood any of it. After studying it on paper, I'm still at a loss, so I think I'm just going to keep my mouth closed this time around. So all in all, I am a little bit indifferent towards this track. Although it's imaginative, although it's progressive, although it's completely unique and utterly impressive from sort of a technical standpoint and a capability standpoint, it's not a song I really want to listen to again, and it's not a song that makes me want to dive more into his music either, and it's a really strange for me. Like I said, it is very divisive, so I gave it a G rating of 6 out of 10, which is still above average, but not something I really want to listen to again. So if you like this video, then please leave a like, subscribe to see more, and I'll see you around next time. Bye bye.